Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Prithvi and today we are checking out our open source component UI kit, FlyonUI. I'll show you how to get started with it and how to integrate with different frameworks. So let's get started. First thing first, let's take a quick look at the documentation. It's well structured and come with a clear guiding started guide. So setting up FlyonUI is a quick and hassle-free. The docs also cover how to set up the icon library, explain why CDN support isn't included, and show you how to include individual CSS and JS component so your project stays lightweighted and doesn't get bloated with unnecessary styles and scripts. But before we jump into FlyonUI, there is one thing we need to set up first, and that is Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS is a utility-first CSS framework that allows you to build custom user interface directly in your HTML. FlyonUI is built on top of Tailwind, so having it properly set up is essential. First, let's set up Tailwind CSS in a simple project. We'll start by creating a new folder. Let's call it FlyonUI basic setup, but you can name it whatever you like. Then open the folder in VS Code. Feel free to use any other code editor you're comfortable with. Then in the terminal, run npm init. This will quickly generate a package.json file to keep all your project dependency organized. Now I will walk you through the Tailwind CSS guide. First, let's install Tailwind CSS into our project. After doing so, we can check it out in Tailwind package.json for the Tailwind CSS and Tailwind CLI version. Then the next step is to import Tailwind CSS. Let's create an input CSS file. Then the next step is to copy the command, CLI command, to create the output CSS file. We will create a script for the following command. And the last step is to create the HTML file. Now copy the code, create an HTML file and paste it over here. After running the following straight into terminal, we can see the following HTML in the browser. Now let's update something. Let's make the text color to a red 700. So we can conclude that Tailwind CSS has been set up in the following project. Now let's install FlyonUI. After installing it, copy paste the CSS import into your project. Shown. The following command means that source and the import is only for the JS component. JS component such as accordion, stepper, etc. The required JS in the header means the following component is in a JS component. Alright, now let's get back to the setup. This part means that if you are using only one or two JavaScript component, you can just include those specific ones. That way your CSS doesn't get clustered. Now the last part is to include the JS file. Now copy the JS file into your project. Please make sure that the path is proper so it doesn't get an error. Now let's test some components. Let's start with the CSS component first. We'll use alert. Copy the first example, paste it. Now in the terminal, run the output CSS script. Once that is done, you can check out the output. Now let's JS component, but first let's comment out the following section. Navigate to the accordion documentation. Here copy the first example provided, paste it into your HTML file, and then navigate to the browser. Here you can see accordion is working, but we are still missing icons. So now let's set up the icons. Unlike others, FlyonUI uses iconify icons rather than SVGs because iconify icons provide over 200,000 open source vector icons such as material, UI, box icons, tabular icons, etc. So to set up the icons, let's first install Iconify. Then the next step is to include the provided icon package we are going to use. For now we will use tabular icons. And then the last step is to include plugin into our Tailwind CSS file. After doing all that, let's run this script. Then check out our accordion into the browser. Now as you can see, accordion as an icon. To know more about how to install other icons library, you can check out our documentation on the icons. Here we have showcased how to use other icons such as SVG, spinner, tabular, etc.
Now let's get back to the quick start. FlyonUI does not support CDN. The reason is that FlyonUI JS component uses Tailwind CSS classes and FlyonUI semantic classes. To generate these classes, we need to use @source feature from Tailwind CSS, which is not possible with the Tailwind CSS CDN. Now let's understand how to include only the CSS and JS component you need for your project. To input CSS file for the minimal components, you can use include configuration property. Keep in mind, any component not included will not work. There is also an exclude property you can use to exclude specific component CSS file. For the JS component, there are 4 steps. First, include the JS file of the following component. As shown in the example, we have used accordion. Then in main CSS, include the CSS file for that component. Source the JS file so that Tailwind class or the FlyonUI semantic class can be generated, and import the variant CSS file which contains custom variants for the following component.
FlyonUI is also compatible with other frameworks. Let's check out how to integrate it with Next.js. It contains detailed manual setup guide for FlyonUI in Next.js. And there is also a starter kit to make things easier. The starter kit has 2 branches. Main branch, this contains the basic FlyonUI setup in Next.js, which you can clone and use it for your own project. The component branch, this branch showcase FlyonUI components usage. Now go ahead and clone the starter kit. Then open it into your preferred code editor. I am using VS Code. After doing so, install the dependencies. Once that is done, you can start the server. Now as you see in the browser that FlyonUI has been set up in Next.js. Now let's test it with the component. Again we'll copy paste the accordion example. For now I am pasting into a page.jsx. As the code is in HTML, we need to change it to the class name. Class to class name. After doing so, you can see the examples are working in Next.js. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you get FlyonUI up and running. Be sure to check out the documentation for more advanced features and examples.